No. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, do I turn on my camera? I don't know. Let me try and make it a bit personal. Uh, okay. Can everyone hear me and see me?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can hear you.
yeah.
Okay. So, hi, my name is Nanayao Dachun, and I'm a systems engineer. I work at Intel Corporation out in Oregon. So I have a background in electrical engineer. I have that as my bachelor's of science from Wichita State University, and then a master's as well in electrical from University of Texas, Arlington. So this year I won the 2020 Black Engineer of the Year for innovation for public interest. I published a couple of papers with key focus in environmental engineering as oil as a cooking indoor pollutant. And I'm currently working on submitting a patent. So that's still pending. Aside from being an engineer, I'm a fashion worker. I like to blog. Currently working with a lot of major brands, which you might be familiar with, Max, Universal Standards. So I try to show that balance between being an engineer, having a hobby, something I just enjoy. I featured on certain platforms like Ladies of Africa, She Africa, um, Fox News, within our local channels here of Oregon and Catch. I'm a Nigerian, of course. Favorite food is fried rice, and yeah, that's really it about me. So the agenda for today that I have, thank you, is what does it mean to be an engineer? What does that mean to some people? And what are the tips of navigating your career in the tech industry? What resources are available to help people who are like, maybe have like, or still in school pursuing an engineering degree, and this could be applicable to any other STEM career you're trying to pursue. What are the steps after this presentation, and then any questions that you might have from this? So, what does it mean to be an engineer? So, we all know engineers usually we utilize most of the natural resources that we have around us and within the world to do key things, which really are to innovate, solve technical problems, find solutions, and in turn achieve practical goals. So innovation, we see innovation every day, whether it's new PCs that we have, the performance and responsiveness is faster, battery lives are better. It could be someone as a petroleum engineer, how do we drill oil? How do we make this faster? For me, being more in tech, um, for me, sorry, I digress. Someone asks, what's the first topic? The topic is how to engineer your career in the tech industry, just to answer that person's question. So going back to this foil of what it actually means to be an engineer, I mean, we innovate, design, we solve technical problems. Whether it's the PC, it could be the railways we work with, it could be the oil industry, how we drill oil. Now, specifically focusing on the tech industry, what types of engineering roles are available? What engineers do you see? Mostly in like Silicon Valley. So we have artificial intelligence and machine learning engineers. I'm sure everyone has really heard a lot about AI. It's really focused a lot on principles of neural network, um, intelligent models to help like automate autonomous systems. That's where we hear kind of like Siri or home automation, kind of like under AI and machine learning, autonomous driving of vehicles or robotics as well. Robots that back to kids, which are used a lot in the hospitals with kids who have, autism. That comes a bit under AI as well as machine learning. We have cloud engineers who utilize a lot of cloud. And so when you hear cloud, I think a lot of people think about data storage. How are we able to store a lot of data and the infrastructures around that? Electrical engineering, which has a lot to do with like electronics, it could be power distribution as well. Mechanical engineering has a lot to do with like gears, but in the tech industry, from my experience, I've seen most people using this more with like heat and thermal solutions, a lot of application of thermodynamics as well. Software engineering, that has to do a lot of coding and programming on the software platforms. And the DevOps engineer helps in turn with software platforms, assures it works well, and they focus on the designs around that. So the tips to help navigate your career in the tech industry. So we really need to focus on the first thing is whether you're in school or you're currently working as an engineer, you've already identified that this is the role I want to be. I want to be an electrical engineer. I want to be a software engineer. So for me, it's getting clarity on what it is you want to do and what you want to become. And once you've been able to identify that, you would begin to build your profile in terms of what jobs do I want, identifying that job or the next job you want, what are the steps that will be needed for that, building your resume and tailoring it towards that role that you want, getting out of your comfort zone. It could mean volunteering at some companies, industries, these whole research programs that would be involved with that to help you get the necessary skill sets you need, or to get the feel of what it is you need to begin to build your profile, and that's your resume in turn. So I mentioned developing new skills. As much as you want to get the skill sets that you need for the role that you want, um, there are so many ways on doing that. Staying curious. It doesn't always have to be like, for example, an electrical engineer. Some of them take software classes. So in turn, you can also be a software engineer, like C programming, or if you want to be key focused on just hardware. So in that aspect, you're staying curious, you're learning new skills. See a job role you like, and they're like, oh, we need Java, we need Python. Does this person know how to use an oscilloscope hardware tools? That's when you take the opportunity and go back, learn these in your fields. They could also be like outside your field. No knowledge is wasted. And there are a lot of training platforms out there, like Udemy, YouTube. These are easily available. Google, you can easily Google things and get the results you need. Webinars and courses to help you get certifications as well, like AWS, Amazon Web Services have a lot of certifications that are very useful. Now, for me, getting a mentor to me is the most important tip. I would really say in the tech industry or any industry at all. People who you respect and you feel you learn a lot from them. For example, whatever your role is, there are a lot of senior leaders, managers, people who have a lot of experience. These are people you should look out for, be like mentors. Learn a lot of them about how they ended through their careers, what challenges they faced, how they came about, resolving solutions. How do you go about getting a new opportunity that maybe you're looking for? Meet regularly with your mentors. A mentor could really be your professor, your college. It could be someone maybe you admire in the workforce. Doesn't really have to be someone within your company. I encourage a lot of people to get mentors also outside of their company. It could be within the same field. I work at Intel. I have mentors that are working in P. I have mentors in Google. I also have mentors in my company. So I think it's also very important for your mentor to believe in you. You don't want to be working with someone or, getting advice from someone that you meet regularly and you're building a relationship that doesn't really believe in you. There's so much power when a mentor or a person believes in your capabilities and your career potential and they pull that out of you, to manifest your goals in turn. So that's also very important. Then networking, I feel networking equals to opportunities. You never know who you're going to meet at a social mixer, at a conference. It could be any. And which brings me to the next point of, being involved in professional organizations, whatever your engineering background is, what are the professional organizations that are available? Join them, be involved, at least go for the conferences, go for mixers they have, it could be like social events. Networking is also a two-way street. You know, people learn a lot. We always learn, whether it's from a 5-year-old or a 50-year-old man or a 60-year-old woman, we are learning. You always learn something from someone. So don't feel, oh my gosh, I don't have enough experience to, actually, you know, offer something to this person. No, you never know what it is you're going to offer to the person. Likewise, what the other person is going to be offering to you. When you also network with people, you never know, this might help you get the next job you need or fill that skill gap you might have. And then soft skills, as much as we want people to be very technically sound, for me, if you have like a great GPA or you're so smart, you understand the technical background about this technology or this, instrument, whatever it could be, communication, interpersonal skills, being a great team player, these soft skills are very important. In some industries, soft skills tend to even take more preference than technical skills because a lot of people say, I mean, you're smart, I know that you're able, but now how do you work with people? How do you interact with people? At the bottom, I have like, you know, different resources that just show enforcing how you can get like, Google, YouTube, different resources, what the programming um, skills are out there today. Um, Other resources now include like, as I mentioned, professional organizations, conferences and communities. We have National Society of Black Engineers. I don't know if anybody has heard about that online. It's a really great organization and they also expand out to Africa. I know they have an active chapter in Ghana. We have Society of Women Engineers. Men too can attend these conferences. It's not just really only focused on women, but it's a great organization that's also globally recognized as well. IEEE Computer Society is really good. Um, for people who are like in the tech industry, having a background in electrical or software and do a lot of programming, IEEE is a great organization to be a part of. So I included Society of Petroleum Engineers here because, I mean, SPE is really global. It's really active back home in Nigeria and Africa as a continent. It's also very active here. Like I mentioned, your scope can go beyond just the tech industry because oil and gas companies need software engineers, they need developers, they need designers as well. For conferences and communities, I listed just a few. There is one called Women in Tech Africa. They also have it out here on the East Coast and Silicon Valley. And it's a great place to actually meet people and network. Andela has a great learning community as well. So you get to meet people, you get to interact. Back in Nigeria, I know that you have a very great community for people interested in tech for that. And then we have Apple Tech out here in the US. It's also also a great event to attend and to be involved, listen to other people, their experiences. And then we have her. It's also very tech heavy as well. Primarily, a lot of women attend this, but men are also welcome to attend. So most of these organizations or conferences, they give you a lot of exposure to meet people, to network. Most of them have career fair. Most of them have workshops to help you build your resumes. And yes, they do have opportunities for student members. I can give you an example. National Society of Black Engineers, Society of Women Engineers, and IEEE, including SBE. I joined when I was a student, when I was studying college. To be honest with you, NESB, I've always been a member of NESB since I was like a freshman. That was where I got my first internship. That's how I got my full-time job. So yes, you're a student, and I feel most of these organizations, conferences, and there are thousands. I just mentioned a few here. They welcome a lot of students. They encourage a lot of students to come because most of these companies, Fortune 500 companies, whether it's tech, oil and gas, networking, software, we're always looking for talent. So yes. And then at the bottom, I put like TEDx, edX. These are like free resources. You don't really have to pay. You can just find them, Code Academy, HubSpot, YouTube, and these are just free and easy to access. So I listed some of the top tech companies because a lot of people are wondering, like, what's out there, what's new. Technology is always evolving really fast, very rapidly. So it's very important to stay, up to date. I just mentioned a few, Facebook, Google, Intel, Cisco. Cisco is more for like networking than when you're really into things like that, routers, Salesforce, Microsoft, Apple, LinkedIn, and NVIDIA. NVIDIA is really into like graphics, game making. So these are some of the top tech companies out there, and what they really have in common, which I've listed out in green, are you're always looking for people who are self-driven, who are you exhibit tenacity. You're very hardworking. You listen well. You have great communication skills. You're inclusive. Being inclusive is another way of also being very collaborative. You're listening to people's ideas. You're offering your own ideas. So these are just a few skill sets listed that are very common across a lot of tech companies. So what are the next steps from what I've explained? So the next steps, at least I would like to hope a few key takeaways would be, start building your resume. If you already have one, you can always brush up on it. And can you guys hear me clearly? Someone asked if they could hear me.
Yeah, we can hear
Yes, we
you.
can hear you.
Okay. So the next steps out of these, few points I shared today is really, start creating your resume. If you already have one, you can, take a look at it again. Think, what do I want to be? Do I want to be, I want to be in the tech industry? Do I want to be more focused on software? Or do I want to be more focused on hardware? Do I want to be more focused on design? And when you're able to tailor that down, you can begin to build your profile. You can begin to volunteer, like I mentioned. It could even be within research programs or school. So there's something called REU, Research Experience Undergraduates. A lot of undergraduate students can get involved with that. A lot of students can do that. If you're already working, you can get involved in other teams. At Intel, you have this program called Dot Assignment, where you keep your job, but then you're able to go to other teams and just volunteer. So that way you're learning skill sets that can help you get the next job. It's a lot, but it's worth it. So building your resume, attending resume workshops really help. Some schools have that available on their campus. And then from there, once you tailor down what you want, building up your resume, what skill sets am I lacking? Is it hardware? Is it software? What coding do I need to learn? What engineering courses do I need to take? Or what courses in general will help me get the role that I want or the job that I'm looking towards? So then find me a mentor could be a professor, it could be a coworker, it could be anybody you admire because you believe this person would have a positive influence on you and on your career. Get in the habit of attending professional conferences. You could try maybe once a year. Every year, especially most of the quarters, spring and fall, they have a lot of conferences, whether it's the regional or annual conferences. Go for one and experience it and meet and know what it's like. Network at these events. It could be a mixer within your community, within your school. And I challenge you to also become a member of a professional organization. It could be like SWE, NESB, IEEE, whatever conference it is, SPE that you really like and really like to join. So that's all I had. Any questions?
Yeah, so we will take questions very soon. Thank you very much, Nenaya.
Okay,
Thanks for everything. So
sure.
before we move to the next speaker, I just want to remind us. I don't think they actually told us that. Please use the chat box to ask your questions, because during the question and answer section, we'll be taking some questions from the chat room. Then we'll go to your pre-asked questions, and we'll come back to the chat room again. So please make use of the chat box for question and answer, and please try to put yourself on mute as well. So our next guest speaker's name is Oluwatosin Ajoja. She'll be speaking more on her own experience, like just to give you more on what Nina has actually what's it called, started with. So, Tosin.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Tosin.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, can you go into presentation mode? Or you want to leave it like this?
I'm actually trying to. You can start. Don't worry. I'll move it up.
Okay, so my name is Tosin. I studied mechanical engineering at University of Ibadan, so I hold a BSc degree in mechanical engineering. I currently work as process engineer at British American Tobacco Nigeria, and well, my hobbies are swimming, listening to music, sometimes reading as well, and also learning new things. I think basically that's it about me. Moving on to the agenda for today. So first of all, I'll just take a look at, just like Nana showed us a couple of companies that you can apply to in the tech industry. I'll show us a couple of companies also in core engineering, looking at the different sections, and from there we look at the okay, good. So we look at job roles in manufacturing because I work with British American Tobacco, which is a manufacturing company. I would give some insight on the skills you require to be successful in an engineering career. Then I will share a bit about my career journey so far, and we can then move on to questions. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what I've tried to do is identify the companies that have footprint here in Nigeria. We have different industries. So first off on the list is the energy industry, where we have companies like Baker Hughes, we have Mobile, we have Saipem. So basically, we have them in two major sections. You have the exploratory, we have the production companies, then we also have the oil services companies. So these are the companies like Baker Hughes that provide services to the oil production and exploration companies. We have the manufacturing companies. So for manufacturing companies, it can range from manufacture of fast-moving consumer goods to manufacture of tools, manufacture of different things. So we have companies like Cadbury, we have companies like BAT where I work. We have flour mills, we have Nestle, Nigerian bureaus, and a host of them. There are quite a number of companies in this category. We have the telecommunications company where we have mostly electrical and electronics engineering engineers. We have system engineers. We have mechanical engineers to some extent working there. So one of them is Main One, another one is Globacom, which we all know. We have MTN and some other companies in that category. We also have the automobile companies. So I'm sure we all know the Sun vehicle. We have Dana Motors. That's where we have assembly of Kia cars in Nigeria. We have consulting companies. So we have these companies basically provide consulting services to people to other industries. And also, they do a lot of engineering design in this category. So one of them is Advanced Engineering Consulting Group. And lastly, we have the construction companies. So we have the building construction, road construction, and all of that. So two major companies in this category are the Julius Berger and Cetraco Group. So basically, these are just the list is not exhaustive, but these are just key industries in Nigeria where we have companies with footprints. That is, we have companies that are operating from Nigeria in all of these industries. So I'll be focusing more on manufacturing. I'll be introducing you to a couple of roles, job opportunities available in manufacturing. So first is the production manager. The production manager coordinates. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So basically, the production manager manages the production activity. In a manufacturing company, basically, what you have is you want to make something. So no matter what it is, whether it's Indomie, whether it's biscuit, the objective is to make a product. And we have the production manager, and basically, what they do is they coordinate the activities of the production areas. So they define strategies, they organize the activities of the production area, they manage the resources within their team. So resources can range from human resources to materials to machines, and they ensure that ultimately what the company has set out to produce is being produced on a daily basis. Likely, the scheduler or planner can be somebody that plans different activities such as production. So you can have production scheduler, you can have maintenance scheduler, you can have material planner, you can have spare parts planner. So basically, these guys just look at a couple of inputs coming from the production team, coming from the market to define a plan for these different activities. So, for instance, the production planner checks the demand from the market for each of the plan based on the resources he has within the factory. So, resources such as the materials available to him, the equipment available to him, the human resources available to him, and he draws a plan such that the market demand is met. Thing you need to know about this role is usually there's a bit of uncertainty in this planning activity, and eventually the ultimate thing is for you to be able to use analyze data that is available to you and try to make good conclusions such that eventually even whatever happens the level of deviation from what you have planned is not too much, and it needs to be agile and reacting very fast to whatever deviations comes along. Okay, so moving on to the next one, which is the utilities or facilities manager. So in manufacturing companies, basically we have utilities. So definitely we need power to run the machines. We need water for some processes. We need compressed air. We need steam. This individual or people in this role basically manage all these resources and ensure that they are always available whenever they are required. So in this role, you manage things like boilers, you manage things like even the structure, the building in which your operations take place, and you need typically you find mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, and maybe industrial engineers in this role, and some engineering skills, some key technical engineering skills are required in being successful in this role. So basically, you need to at least have basic understanding of how this equipment work and be able to help whenever there is a problem on ground or there's any problem to be solved. Moving on to the next role, we have the process engineer. So as a process engineer, you're in charge of developing and implementing process improvement strategies. So basically, you have processes in your manufacturing industry. You have processes, you have equipment. The process engineer is in charge of the processes. That is how the raw material moves through the different stages of manufacturing and becomes the finished product. And the role of the process engineer is to identify opportunities for improvement along the processes. So basically, you need to continually find ways of optimizing your raw materials, reduce waste, um, reduce the time it takes to transform your input to output, and definitely you need to create standards to make these things happen and ensure that the guys always and every time are able to deliver what they need, the outputs within the given time or within or using only the required resources without generating excessive waste within the process. Okay. Next one is the logistics manager. So I've talked about the fact that you have raw materials that you need to use, you have finished goods that are being made. The logistic manager is the one that ensures that the raw materials move from wherever they are coming from. So they might be from within the country, from outside the country, from different companies. The logistics manager ensures that all the materials arrive in the factory or at the point where they are required, as at when they are required, and also that the finished product gets to the market because eventually you need to sell your products to the customers. So the logistics manager manages the supply chain, the transportation movement of the raw materials, of the finished goods, of spare parts, whatever is required within the manufacturing organization. Okay. Next, we have project engineer. So within the manufacturing space, you have a lot of projects happening. Projects can range from engineering projects, like okay, we need to install a new equipment, we need to modify an existing equipment, to projects such as new product introduction. So, for instance, you want to upgrade something you're already producing. So maybe you use this particular kind of packaging for your product today, and you want to transit to another kind of packaging. We typically have people in roles such as project engineer. So one thing you need to understand is that for different companies, you might have different nomenclatures, but basically, this is the concept. This is what they do. So, for instance, you can have something like new product introduction manager. You can have things like quality innovation manager. Basically, what they do is manage projects, coordinate the activities of different projects, whether engineering projects, whether new products introduction projects, whether software projects that have to do with introducing new software within the organization. So they manage it from the conceptual stage to the business as usual stage. Okay. Moving on to the next thing, we have reliability engineer. So for some organizations, you hear things like production engineering manager. Basically, what these guys do is they manage the equipment and ensure that they are always available. Remember, I talked about the process engineer that manages the processes. This is the person responsible for the equipment. The reliability engineer ensures that all the equipment are in the right shape to deliver the required product, and also to meet all the set targets for that particular line. So basically, a reliability engineer needs to be able to think ahead, do more of preventive maintenance, ensure that the required spare parts are available and are used on the machines when required, and basically you just have to be able to preempt failures together with your team. Definitely, you have a team working with a team of technical specialists working with you. You need to be able to preempt failures and prevent them from happening, such that whenever the equipment is required, it is available for use. Moving on, we have continuous improvement manager. So this also comes with different names in different companies. So for most organizations, they have a strategy. They have a way of working. So you have things like Six Sigma. You have things like lean manufacturing. You have things like IWS, Integrated Work System. So this continuous improvement manager oversees all the processes and procedure for the organization, such that you are aligned to the strategy of the organization. So all of these strategies are just to deliver improvement in your processes, in the quality of your product, in everything from end to end. So the continuous improvement manager manages this strategy and breaks it down for each of the different departments to say, okay, for this particular department, these are the things you need to do based on what this organizational strategy is for us to deliver the required output or the required end product for this particular department. And he just, he most times doesn't do these things himself. He just defines the strategy, shares it with the team, and the team executes and implements the strategy. Okay, so for we also have people in the safety department, environmental health and safety department. Basically, all they do is ensure that the workplace is harm free. So again, you need some trainings in time in EHS or HSNE as you may call it, for this particular role. So you need to be able to identify hazards. You need to be able to um, define the right actions to ensure that the hazards are taken out. Whenever you have hazards that cannot be taken out, then you have to have mitigating actions to ensure that the risk level for those hazards are reduced. So basically, this guy just check the safety of the environment, check the safety of the equipment. So even right from the project phase is involved, and he assesses the equipment that are being brought into the organization to check how compliant they are in terms of the safety standard of the organization. Okay. And lastly, we have quality engineer. So ultimately, like I said, you want to deliver products to your consumers. But again, you cannot deliver just any product to your consumers. You need to deliver them at the right quality. So the quality engineer defines the standards and processes. So it defines specifications saying that for these products, you need to meet this particular specification. So it has to be 10 meters high, 5 meters wide, and it puts check in place. So there are systems that it puts in place to check that all of these specifications, all of these designs are met. Okay, so basically, it just ensures that we have the right standard in place, you have the right specification in place, and it drives compliance. So it ensures that whatever gets to the consumer is actually what the consumer expects based on the specification. Okay, so those are the key roles in manufacturing. I'll just mention a few skills that's mostly soft skills that you require to be successful in these roles. So, like Nanaya mentioned, it's mostly not just about your technical skills, but again, in manufacturing industry, you cannot downplay the importance of your technical skills. And even in telecommunications, in oil and gas, you still need technical skills. So you need your knowledge of thermodynamics, you need your knowledge of fluid mechanics. For the telecommunications guys, you need what you have learned in school as maybe an electrical engineer or whatever field you are coming from. So all of those skills come into play even in the industry. Now, the only difference is that you might not necessarily use everything that you have learned, because again, you're being taught to be able to fit into different organizations. So wherever you go, there will be some things from what you have learned that will be relevant to the organization you're going into. So the other soft skills that are required are good communication skills. You work with a lot of people. This is required in virtually every organization, anyways. You need to be able to, pass your message across to them. You need to be able to get them to listen to you and also be able to listen to them as well. You need to be able to solve problems. So things that happen in key things that happen in manufacturing. If you look at all the roles that I have highlighted, basically they try to ensure availability, they try to ensure a standard is met, they try to ensure that there is improvement in performance. So basically, typically you have some issues that probably are inhibiting the organization from meeting its target. And going into such an environment, you have to have that, you have to be curious, you have to be able to ask the right questions. There are different tools used for problem solving, but your technical skills, for instance, can also, be of great advantage when it comes to problem solving in these industries. Coaching skills. So as a production manager, typically you work with a whole lot of people. You work with the operators on the lines, you work with the technicians and different people across different areas. And you need to be able to communicate what is required of you to them. You need to be able to communicate the target. You need to be able to communicate how they contribute to all these to achieving this target. And one thing that is highly required here is coaching skills and influencing skills. So you need to be able to convince them. Now, all of these people also have minds of their own, and they have their own ideas. But again, ultimately, you need everybody's contribution, you need everybody's buy-in to be able to achieve your goals. So you need to learn how to, influence people um, as required. Another thing is prioritization. So I've said this again and again. Ultimate thing in a manufacturing company is to push out your products in good quality. So when you have different tasks at hand, you need to be able to identify which ones are the most important things, which one is the next important one, and attend to them in that order. Another thing is attention to details, agility in learning. So in different industries, basically, you may need to use new tools. For instance, in when I joined BAT, I had to learn to use SAP, and I had just I didn't have so long. I mean, to learn to use that tool. So being in school already opens your mind. It already helps you build these skills, this ability, to learn. It helps you to build abilities to pay attention to details from your engineering practicals, from writing exams in engineering and all of those things. You already build these skills subconsciously. But again, all of these things will be tested, or you will need to put them to use by the time you get into the industry. Another thing is empathy. So I talked about working with people, and you need to be able to influence them. So this is one of the things that comes alongside influencing. And the last thing is teamwork. So yeah, right from school you do different things like class assignments, group assignments. You have maybe design projects that you need to work in teams. You need to take these opportunities, and even some extracurricular activities within school. You need to take these opportunities to learn key skills such as leadership, and also how to be a member of a team. So typically, and sometimes you need to be a member, and there are skills required to succeed in each of these capacities. And going into the industry, definitely there will be times you need to lead a group. Definitely there will be times where you will just be a member of a group, but you need to also make your own contributions to the success of the group. So all of these things you need to be able to manage this. And good thing is, right from school, you guys have a whole lot of opportunities to learn most of these things. And I recommend that you take these opportunities, you grab them with both hands and take the learnings. After each assignment, highlight how you have fared, maybe whether as a team member or as a leader within the team. Check what the things that you did right, the things that you didn't do right, and try to improve on yourself. By that, you're already building skills for this for success in the industry. Okay, so I'm just going to talking about my career journey so far. So what I would just say is I just started. I've only been working for I think 3 years. I started off as SMD process engineer in BAT. So as SMD process engineer, I was responsible for the secondary SMD secondary manufacturing department. So we have the primary manufacturing department and the secondary manufacturing department. So I started off as SMD process engineer, and I was responsible for managing the processes within that space, within the department. So basically, I had to identify opportunities for improving the ways of working within the department. I also had to ensure that the production process was executed with minimal waste being generated. Moving on, after about I think a year and 8 months, I moved on to become the PMD process engineer in 2018. Still the PMD process engineer in BAT, and it's similar, just that in addition to ensuring that we have reduced waste, minimal waste in our production process, in addition to ensuring that we have the right processes in place, optimizing the processes, I also ensure that we have the right quality. So now I take care of the quality of the products coming from primary manufacturing department. There are different parameters, there are specifications, like I mentioned earlier, designed by the quality engineer, which I need to which I need to ensure are being met. Okay, so while working as PM process engineer in 2019, I also had a secondary responsibility of leading a project from the beginning to the end. So I worked temporarily as a project engineer in conjunction in addition to working as a process engineer. So basically, this was an IT project, interestingly, and I led the project right from the design phase, working with different people from different departments, from supply chain, working to by supply chain I mean working with the logistics engineers, working with people from quality engineers, working with people in for instance, the assembly process engineer, the production managers, and also working with the IT team to deliver this project. So we went through all the different phases. I was particularly responsible for the change management for this particular project. So I designed how the change management would go. and also ensure that all the other elements of the project, were being done as at when due. And we're able to deliver the project at the end of last year according to schedule. And one good thing was the change management was very good, and the rest within the operating team was highly appreciated. So basically, that's my experience so far, and I'm still working. Like I said, I just started, and that's why there's no end yet. So that's it from me, guys. Any questions?
Okay, thanks, Tosin. We will soon have to all the questions at once. But before that, we'll be bringing in the what's it called the next speaker. Her name is Abisoye. She'll be speaking more from the industrial engineer perspective. Just give me some sec to share a slide. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, I can see your screen now. Okay. Can you scroll down, please?
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Thank you. Looks like the format has changed after I sent it to you. But I'll just go over. Hopefully nothing. Actually, Yemi, do you please mind scrolling all the way down so I make sure nothing else changed? Because it seems like the format's changed. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so it's just the agenda page that I think changed. That's fine. Okay. Yes, hi everyone. My name is Abisoye Adesonoye. I have a bachelor's in industrial engineering from Purdue. I got that in about 2014. I'm currently doing my master's at Georgia Tech. I'm scheduled to graduate in December 2020. I work for Foxconn Technology Group and HP Consumer Electronics, so the desktops and workstations for about 3 years as a lean manufacturing engineer. And then post that for 2 years, I've been working for Cummins. My day-to-day responsibility at work is pretty much to do workstation layouts, workstation designs, improvement projects on the manufacturing line and for our facility, design future factories and what's the most optimal method to do that. Also, bring in any new equipment to basically get our company or our plant working at the target metric. So, either tools and fixtures for the operators or big robots where that would be helping us install our products. Other things I do apart from work, I'm still a member of NESB. I've been a member of NESB since I was in school. I'm part of their mentorship program here, so I mentor a few college grads, just basically, sorry, college students right now in university in the area, just basically getting them geared, ready for I guess, work after school. And then STEM robotics, which is basically just going to impoverished neighborhoods and basic teaching them how to program robots as well as trying to enlighten them generally about STEM. Activities I like to do, I'm really an outdoor person, so I'm always either running, hiking, swimming, skiing, rafting, kayak, anything outdoor really related. You catch me doing that. I'm not really an indoor person. I'm an avid reader. Um, love to read new books, and I have a big passion for real estate, buying and selling houses, flipping houses, um, real estate in general. Next page, please. Thank you. So, Nana and Tosin have really done a good job on going over a lot I had already gone over, I had planned to go over. So I'm not going to bore you guys too much with the same information. I'm going to just try to go over stuff that might be slightly different. So yeah, general opportunities you have in engineering. Um, I guess you would say core engineering because these days you have core engineering and then you have more of the tech space. Mechanical, industrial, chemical, manufacturing, electrical and electronics, computer, aerospace, financial, environmental, and so on. Um, Skills, I put skills based off generally towards what I've noticed that I recruit a lot for Cummins. I go to a lot of national fairs to recruit, and a lot of skills that generally we're just out there looking for when we're recruiting new talents for the company. So if you're in the manufacturing space or in the mechanical space, AutoCAD, Creo, SolidWorks, any 2D or 3D software really goes a long way. Knowing how to use it, explaining to us how you've used it, really goes a long way. And I think for most people, if they do an engineering major in school, they end up using one of those tools anyway. Logical reasoning, and this is just definitely just developed as a result of all the like thermodynamics classes you would be taking in school if you're doing core engineering, or just general problem solving that you'd be doing again in school. Project management, I put that under hard skills and soft skills just because you have standard tools that most people use for projects. So you have RACI matrices, you have presentation tools, you have Gantt charts, scheduling tools. But one thing I would tell you is that more than likely in your engineering career, even if you decide to stay technical, more than likely at a point you're going to be doing projects, either leading a project or be part of a project. And the higher you go in a company or organization, you're definitely going to be leading a project at a point. So definitely having good project management tools from a hard skills perspective and good project management skills from a soft skills perspective, meaning more of good communication, good time management, like Tosin had mentioned earlier, goes a long way in your career. SQL, VBA, C, Python, MATLAB. I highlighted that in red because traditionally, I would say traditional old engineering skills, probably apart from maybe computer engineering in the past, didn't really require those. But now, just, with, tech becoming a big thing and Industry 4.0, even if you're like in a traditional manufacturing role, that's really making it more efficient to do your job. They're going to hire most engineers to basically solve problems, fix problems, design something new for the company, or design or fix some what we already have. And those tools would really help you because SQL for data extraction, you may not necessarily be a database management administrator, but just general for data extraction. VBA helps you in a lot of if you're not necessarily using VBA Excel, but the logic for VBA really helps for most other simulation softwares out there. C, obviously, C and Python, definitely the foundations of programming, and MATLAB, which again, I think a lot of you, if you do end up venturing in, like, if you are in an engineering program right now, or you did engineering in school, most people did something either with MATLAB or Python. Um, I think I skipped over simulation. Simulation, again, depending on your field, um, you could be doing more of like load simulation if you're designing a specific part, or you could be doing more of like distribution sites, factory simulations, or I'm sure there are other simulations that you definitely do in the aeronautical industry as well, but I'm not as well versed with those. Problem solving techniques, again, foundations of engineering. There's 8D, the MIC, Six Sigma, being a great team player, general logical reasoning, and problem solving. Again, I would say take you a long way in engineering. Next page, please. Thank you. Okay. So a few of you had actually reached out to me before this session, which talking about basically getting other roles in the US. So as a result of that, I decided to add this slide. Navigating engineering careers in the US. So I would say tips for navigating engineering careers in the US would be the first thing, which again, I think Inanna touched on this, would be probably to, mentors. It goes a long way when you have a mentor, not necessarily in your field, but has already surpassed where you're trying to go or gone through the things that you plan on going through. Because, for example, if you have a specific role that you're trying to accomplish, um if you're just reaching out to your that mentor or just someone that has gone through that, you basically are able to accomplish that more efficiently. You prevent yourself from having to go through the same mistakes that they went through, and they probably have some advice for stuff that you might not have thought of on your own. Resume building, again, I think this was talked about before. Joining STEM minority organizations. This was more tailored towards the US and Canada, but I think they have chapters again in Nigeria as well. National Society of Black Engineers, Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, Society of Women Engineers, and others that I think Ina touched about that's more tech oriented. These organizations really go far in resume critiquing and preparing you for interviews, mock interviews, if you happen to go to a university that has them, or also networking you to meet people that might be doing what you're looking to do in the future. And then they have job fairs, which a lot of us actually, or a lot of people um, in one of those minority groups got their jobs from. Again, I got a job from Nesby as well, um, and it's just going for these job fairs and conferences just really make it just the path a little bit easier than the traditional apply online for a job. Like I think most people know that, when you apply online, you and 500,000 people are applying for the same job, and there's that software that's basically just going through screaming if you have keywords. And even after you have keywords, a lot of people know about the keywords now and might still not be able to field themselves through that apply online. But really going for the job fairs with these minority organizations go a long way. Now, for those of you, again, possibly looking into going to the US, I put scholarships and that link there. And I believe that this presentation will be available after the session. I put the link there. It talks about scholarships that are available to um, people that are non-US citizens and non-US permanent residents, because most Nigerians coming to this country are not coming with a green card. They're coming as an international. So a lot of the scholarships and stuff might be out there. You might not be available. You might not be eligible for, but that particular link gives you the specific ones that are actually related towards again, being a non-US permanent resident or non-US citizen. Apart from those, obviously, if you're applying for an MSc with a thesis, a lot of schools would definitely have um, funding from the school professors or the research that you're doing. Keep in mind that the smaller schools, the less very, very known schools are more likely to give a lot more scholarships than the very big schools. And just the fact that you don't go to, I'm not discouraging anyone from applying to Princeton or Stanford or wherever, but the fact that you don't go to one of those schools doesn't mean you're not going to get a good job, especially in engineering STEM, because it's really more about what you can bring to the table versus um, just which school that you went to. The next one I have is LinkedIn. Definitely having a LinkedIn profile. I think in this day and age, most people have a LinkedIn profile, but not just having your name on LinkedIn and just putting your job. Try to make your LinkedIn profile a little bit more attractive. And then checking it time to time. LinkedIn is obviously great networking tool to meet people. Sometimes people just post jobs there, and you can bypass the whole application process. People post a lot of useful resources for either for learning or for funding or again for jobs on there. And honestly, people reach out sometimes if they're looking for joint business ventures. So LinkedIn, honestly, is a very powerful tool. The last one I want to talk about is STEM OPT opportunities. So the reason why I put that there is, again, like I said, a few of you reached out to me before this session. If by chance you're coming to the US or planning to come to the US for masters, and you're going to be doing a STEM degree, science, tech, engineering, math, ensure that your degree is in that CIP approved list. A lot of people don't know that, but what happens when you come to the US and your degree is not in that list? Just because it says it's environmental engineering and this does not necessarily mean it's on that list. It just depends on what curriculum your school is using. If the US government doesn't put your degree is not on that list, it's going to make it a lot harder for you when you're transitioning into the workplace and trying to find an employer to sponsor you, to keep you in the country, and to give you a job. Usually, it 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 okay, I see somebody's asking a question. Yes, we would answer those questions, I guess, after the presentation, but I think that touches on what I'm talking about now. Um, oh, which countries? Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But yes, feel free to go through that list later on and ensure that your major is on that one. And if you have more questions about that, feel free to reach out to me. Next page, please. Thank you. So yeah, now what? Just general advice. Yes, like I think everyone should try and have a 5-year goal. I don't necessarily think it should be it has to be extremely elaborate, but just generally what you want to accomplish in the next 5 years. Um, like Nana touched on again, mentors, mentors, mentors. It just really makes navigating career and life a lot easier, and you just don't have to make, if people have already done it before, you don't need to make the same mistakes again. The next one is school. If it is school, again, research available opportunities and apply funding opportunities. Use LinkedIn as a tool to possibly find previous students that have attended schools or done the programs that you're interested in, and get tips for applications if they are willing to talk to you, or tips for funding. Ensure the school aligns with your career goals. Does the company that you're planning to work for recruit from that school? Does that company have a good diversity recruitment program? If your next step is just work, is your resume up to par? Are you on LinkedIn? Are you using job fairs? Again, those minority organizations, even beyond school, still go a long way with recruitment and with development, and also with just opportunities that might be more fulfilling for might be more fulfilling for you in general. LinkedIn Learning, Udemy, edX, Coursera, Free Masterclass, and all the other skills, free tools out there that both of the other my co-speakers have mentioned. If you find yourself not having any of those skills that I mentioned earlier on your resume, I think all those websites have all those things, and you can learn and find applications for. Network, network, network. Who is in your network can really take you far. And then stay in touch. I put that there saying if you're interested in communicating more beyond this program or this session, my email is at the bottom and my LinkedIn is also there. You can feel free to add me on LinkedIn. However, if you just do me a favor and just give me a quick update saying that please I attended the SGI session. I would like to get to talk to you more about blah. Then I'll accept your LinkedIn messages, your LinkedIn connect, just because I get a lot of LinkedIn connects for people trying to sell stuff to my company, so I don't filter you out. Thank you everyone, and it's been a pleasure.
Sorry, can you guys hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and share the what's it called. We'll start with the on-chat question and answer first. Then we'll move to the questions we have. Okay. Can you guys see my screen now? Okay.
Yes.
So we'll start with the on-chat questions. I have some questions down here. So the first one says, are there opportunities for student members in this professional organization? I think this question is for Nenaya. Probably asking about the professional organization you talked about, the SWA.
So yes, there are opportunities. Is it better? Can you guys hear me?
Still echoing.
Okay, does it sound better? Okay, I think I'm ringing, so let me type. I'll hear your questions and I'll type it in the chat box.
Are you there?
Sure, but I think I'm ringing. Can you guys hear me well?
It's just echoing, but I think you can try.
If anyone has
Okay.
their mic on not on mute, apart from I think
It's working
Yemi.
now. It's perfect now.
Okay, yeah. Okay, sounds much better.
Back again.
So yes, there are opportunities. There's a sound. Is everyone on mute? Is it better now? Let me just type.
While she's typing out the answer to that question, I'll move on to the next question, which is, how do we get into these top companies and how do we stand out while applying and possessing the needed skills? Anyone want to help with that? Any of the speakers want to help with that? Like, how do we get into these top companies and how do we stand out while applying and possessing the needed skills?
I'll take that one. So again, it really just depends on what. Wait, am I echoing as well?
No, you're good.
Okay. It really just depends on what kind of company, what role you're trying to get. So I guess I'll take it from different perspectives. So if you're transitioning from school, trying to get a full-time position, then I would say everything we've mentioned in the session will go a long way. So make sure you're having a good LinkedIn profile. Maybe make sure your resume is up to par. Make sure you're attending multiple job fairs from whatever they have at your school or any of these career opportunities, or if you have other job fairs available. And then I would say possibly networking with people that work there in the roles that you're interested in. Sometimes they can help to critique, or sometimes if they're open to a call with you, they might be able to give you possibly a referral position if they think you're qualified enough and if they think you're a good fit for the company. Um, Again, if you happen to have to just apply online, make sure you have the keywords that are in the job description on your resume um as well. What else would I say? And then, like, I guess things that should be, if you don't have any work experience, then you should compensate for your work experience with either, like Ina and I had touched on before, volunteer opportunities within that field or research opportunities within that field. So essentially, if you haven't been able to get a company that you've worked for as an intern, or just basically being able to show the company that you're still out there and be able to develop the skills that they are looking for in an employee. Another thing I would say is maybe go on the company's website, see what the companies value as well, and maybe tailor your resume towards that, or tailor. So it really just depends again on what you're looking for. I would say that would be good for somebody transitioning out of school. Now, if you're trying to change jobs, it's a whole different ball game. But I think I've done more than the 1 to 2 minutes that Okwe gave us. So yeah, I'll stop there. Feel free to reach out.
Okay. So moving back to what's it called, the question I asked in a year, are there opportunities for student members in this professional organization? Do you want to try speak and see?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Can everyone hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sounds better. So, yes, there are opportunities for students within these professional organizations. Most global organizations like NSB, SWE, IEEE, SPE, they have these opportunities for students. If you go to the websites, they even clearly ask you if you're a student and walk you through how to apply. Most universities as well have these chapters on campus. So I would also say, depending on university and what school you go to, seek out these organizations within your school and join them. That would be a perfect way. Sometimes they may not be on campus, so you can just go online and register as a student, and then maybe try and get involved with the nearest chapter close to you, or go for their regional or annual conferences just to meet other students like yourself.
Okay. Justin, do you have something to say for people in Nigeria, like something? Can you hear me, Justin? Okay.
So, Opemi, just to add to that, for those in Nigeria, I just know like SPE, because it seems like a lot of the engineers are, it's like the Society of Petroleum Engineers. I know they have that in most schools, the chapters. And then I know Andela, although I think it's like just, I don't know if it's other places, but I know it's really in Lagos, Nigeria, like the learning community. If you're not able to join like a professional organization, the communities as well have a lot of things to offer. Like Andela, for example, I don't know if it's free, but things I've heard about it, it's also a great resource as well.
Thanks for adding that. So I'll move on to the next question. It's a little bit lengthy. Sorry, is that? So this person said, possessing other skills, though from an engineering background, how do one successfully pick a career path? Apart from the fact it can be worrisome for one to drift after 5 years of a beautiful engineering course. So I think the main question here is, from an engineering background, how do one successfully pick a career path?
I would say picking one is what, like, you have to ask yourself a lot of questions, like, what do I want to do? What motivates me? Now, aside from what motivates you, I think doing a lot of research on, what are people talking about out there? Like now in the tech industry, there's a lot of discussion about 5G networks, AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning. So staying up to date within your related field of what people are discussing about, how are things changing, you can ask yourself if that's something you want to align your career with based on your background. Like I said, thinking outside of the box as well is also a good skill set to have. An electrical engineer can also be a software engineer, and then picking up on the necessary skill sets. So I would say a lot of research, staying up to date on what's happening within your field. Those are good ways of, picking a successful career and starting off with that as well.
Anyone want to add something? Any of the speakers? Okay. So the next question, I think this is for Tosin. Are the roles of process engineer and reliability engineer similar?
Okay, so like I mentioned while sharing with you guys, the reliability engineer basically focuses on the equipment, while the process engineer focuses on the processes. Yes, they are similar in the sense that both of them are looking for opportunities to improve, for the process engineer to improve the process, and for the reliability engineer to improve the performance and availability of the equipment. So I think the basic similarity is because you still identify problems, just like the other speakers have mentioned. One key thing you do as an engineer is to solve problems. So you're still identifying problems, you're solving problems. It's just that the area in which the problems you're solving for each of the different roles are different.
Okay. So the next question is still more like some part of it is for you, and I think the other part of it is for everyone. Did you always know you wanted to be a process engineer, Tosin?
No, I didn't. So again, there were opportunities, there were job adverts, like I think Abisoye said, you check LinkedIn, you have all these job sites and all of that, and I saw this opportunity, I applied for it, and interestingly, it's something I'm loving, something I enjoy doing, but I never planned to be a process engineer. One thing I always had interest in working in manufacturing, definitely, but not any specific role. And maybe even at that time, I wasn't really familiar with the roles available within that industry. But I knew I had interest in working in manufacturing.
So the other question that was together with that, any of this, because you can all talk on that. How did you decide on your career path? Like, is it because you studied something related to it? That's why you was called just to work in that area, or it just came easy?
Okay,
So
like I said,
Okay.
okay. Like I said, for me, it was an opportunity. Although I already knew that I wanted to do manufacturing, and that's because I studied mechanical engineering in school. I learned about different, aspects of mechanical engineering, and that this was something that caught my attention. So I didn't specifically say, okay, I want to go into this particular role, but I knew I wanted to go into this industry if I get the opportunity, and the opportunity came, and I'm here.
Okay, so for me, I'll answer that question in two folds. So yeah, so from my background in school in industrial engineering, majority of industrial engineering jobs generally go into process improvement, either in manufacturing or outside the manufacturing space. So I started off in manufacturing. I would say more of just it was just in line with like my degree. But then gradually, as I want to add to that, that gradually as you work in the field, you don't necessarily know everything about like what every company and every industry is doing out there when you're still in school. But gradually as you transition in the field, you begin to understand like what your real strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what your interests are, and what you don't have interest in, and what you need to develop. And again, what are the future, what's the potential growth in this field, and what's not the potential growth. And that's how I've been like eventually like that's how I chose my masters, and that's how I chose like I've been choosing like the next roles that I want to apply for. So yeah.
So just to add, I totally agree. Like as you start with what she said, you begin to understand more and know what you want, if there's also potential. I would actually say my own experience was I always knew I wanted to do electrical engineering, but in terms of like what industry, was it oil and gas, networking, or just pure tech? I would say like, I wanted to be oil and gas, but tech found me. I don't know if that makes any sense. I got my first job in the tech industry, but I was more ambitious and applying to be more in the oil and gas industry. And then that shift occurred. But then as I began to work, within the tech industry, I understood more. There were more prospects within this industry, more growth, more opportunities, people I would work with. I just began to learn more. And then I started aligning my career that way. So I think maybe once you start as well in any industry you're in, you can, as you're learning, you can make that objective of are the opportunities here to continue, or would I like to make a shift and go somewhere else as well?
All right, so we'll come back to the chat room questions. It seems like we have a lot there, but I actually want us to touch some of these. Please, guest speakers, let's make the what's it called question and answer very quick, where we have like 15 minutes more. So the first question is networking with other female engineers in the world. I think they've said a lot on that. Where the what's it called during their presentation, you can network through so many what's it called professional organizations, and at the same time you can use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is for everybody. You can also network there as well. The next question is their career path so far in wherever the speakers are working. I think they've already told you what they do and what they are currently doing and how they actually got there as well. The next one is getting a software engineering job. Anyone want to pitch something on that? Like as an engineer, of course, maybe you studied mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, any kind of engineering. How can you get a software engineering job? I will actually start with by saying at least you must have passion for it. You cannot go to school and study industrial engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering without not having what's it called passion for software engineering, and you just want to get a software engineering job. So I think it has to start from somewhere. If you're looking at it from the perspective of I studied what's it called computer engineering, then getting a software engineering job is something that will be a little bit easy. But if you study electrical engineering and you want to move to what's it called software engineering, you need to have the what's it called the required soft skills in that part before you can actually say, oh, I want to go ahead and what's it called apply for this job. So I think it goes in that line. I'm sorry. The next one is I would like the speakers to discuss on how one can assess the opportunities available in the engineering field and how one can bridge the gap between technology and engineering. So any of the speaker want to speak on I want to say something on how can you bridge the gap between technology and engineering?
Um so for that one, I think when Yemi had sent us this question, I was a little bit um, confused about that question. I'm not exactly sure what the person means by bridge the gap between technology and engineering, but it's more of maybe how we're applying technology with engineering. Maybe that's what they're trying to say.
Alright.
I would say in like traditional engineering, I guess traditional engineering roles. First of all, engineering and tech go like hand in hand. Again, your job as an engineer is to solve problems. Most of the time. I mean, sometimes you're just fixing machines and doing maintenance work, but most of the time it's to solve problems, whether it be software, whether it be hardware, whether it be manufacturing. You're just being updated with the new tools and technology out there. So if it's more of an hardware thing, going to different conferences in terms of like for new equipment, learning research, there's engineering articles out there, there's like new industry 4.0 articles out there as well that you can use. And if it's more of software skills, I think we already touched back there about like the different like up to standard in demand skills that are out there that we need. And I think just learning how to apply those in your day-to-day job also goes a long way. I hope that answers the question for who asked that, but I'm not sure there's a gap. Thank you.
Um, Hi. So how I understood it, at least when they say gap between technology and engineering, it's more like she said, you're solving problems every day and coming up with solutions. If there's a gap, then there's opportunity for innovation. Like I mentioned, we also invent as engineers. So if you ever buy like a new laptop and you wonder, this laptop I bought last year, this new one seems faster and better, doesn't hang, there are no glitches. I think for that to have occurred, there was like a problem. It was a new technology was offered. And then of course, engineers had to deliver and execute on that. So with that question, when I hear it, I think I hear more of innovation. The way that gap or anything could be addressed is, having creative minds, being creative, being innovative, and providing solutions. That's how I would address that person's question.
All right. Thank you. So I've actually run through most of the questions. That's what one or two of the speakers have already spoken on already, and again, all it's either in the slide or they've spoken on it. So we all get a slide at the end of the section. But there's one other one before we move back to the chat room. What were the three skills that stood out for you in acquiring your first internship or your first full-time job? Three skills that stood out for you.
When you say three skills that stood out for me, is it like three skills that I had that helped me get the internship?
I would guess that's what the person is asking.
Okay. So for me, I would say tenacity, not just giving up, because at least getting any job is not easy, but being persistent and consistent with your pursuit. I would say good communication skills and showcasing that you're a great team player. I think those were the three skills that really helped me. My first internship was participating in a research program, which led to me publishing my first paper. So those were the skills that helped me get that first internship.
Okay, for me, I think three key skills that helped me are good communication skills. Um, Secondly, was my ability to demonstrate that I'm a problem solver. So basically, I got questions during the interview process and all of that, whereby I had to give examples of situations whereby there were problems to solve. And really, I didn't have any job experience before then. And basically, I just thought about those things we did in school, all those design projects that we did, all those little projects around there that we did. And those are the things that I used as examples, and even examples from extracurricular activities that I participated in school and during my youth service. So basically, communication, problem solving, and also ability to also show that I can work in teams. So again, it comes by saying, giving examples of things that you have done as a team leader, as a team member. I think those are the three key skills that stood out for me.
Thanks, Tosin.
For me, I would say, um, I guess I don't know if I necessarily call it a skill, but volunteer work in school, either in for clubs or for research programs, because with a lot of interviews, they're gonna ask you stuff based off like the star format, and they're going to be looking for team player skills or adaptability skills or leadership skills. And when you have those opportunities, even though you don't necessarily have hard down work experience, were you able to talk about those in an interview and really highlight um, certain things that you did in those projects or teams work? It goes a long way. So I'll say like my work that I did in school, and then I would say leadership skills, and I would probably say um, team player skills. Yeah. Mhm.
Thanks, guys. And the next question we have here is, what about people with combo courses like agricultural and environmental engineering, but abroad courses to apply? The courses they want to apply to abroad is just requesting for environmental engineering. Does it still fit for application?
Yes, if you have an environmental engineering background, it's still, I mean, you can still apply. I'm guessing this person is in Nigeria trying to come over here to get an advanced degree or something. So if it's environmental you're seeing and you have agriculture as a background, you can still apply. Basically, use what you have. So the first internship I mentioned, I was research. My background is electrical, but I was working in the research was more environmental science. It was an environmental research program, two completely extreme scenarios. And for this person, the name of that university was Clarkson University. So you can check out the school. And the professor then was Dr. Andrea Ferrero. So I would say start off with that school, electrical, someone like me coming in to environmental. I think you have a better chance than me, agricultural and environmental, that took that chance. And I still got in to that program.
So I'll kind of add to that based on what we actually kind of discussed from our previous section. I think the fact that you study agri and environmental engineering does not mean you really have to like continue in that path. So I would say it's depend on what's it called your passion, what you really want to do. If you want to focus on, if you have the passion for just the agricultural side of it, go for it. And if you have passion for the environmental part of it, go for it. And if there's a maybe along the line you've been kind of twisted around, oh, I love project engineering, I love project management, or you want to go what's it called along that line, you can actually move for that. So I wouldn't say because you study petroleum engineering or because you study what you have to be a petroleum engineer. You just need to know what works for you. So the next question we have here is, can one have a LinkedIn account without having enough technical skills required for an employment, for instance, an undergrad who is still learning? I would take that. I would say yes. Of course, you don't have to have it all built up. Like every day we learn, we build skills every day, and from there you get to develop what's it called or improve on all these what's it called social media. You get to improve on your LinkedIn page. Just the way it works for your resume. When you're done with one what's it called one job, you go to your resume, you update your resume, you add that job to it. It's just the same thing. It works like what's it called your resume as well. You go to LinkedIn, you kind of what's it called update your new job or your just finished project or so. So you can keep building on whatever you have right now. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't open one. Like create an account, no matter how little the experience you have so far, put it out there and keep building on it. There was another question. How easy for me to get a job in the US, for example, without schooling there?
That's going to be very, very hard, to be very honest.
That's
And
why I'm
doesn't mean
trying.
it's not possible, but it would be a bit challenging. Um, because you need to get H1B, and then one of the speakers mentioned something about OPT. So I would say the best way to get the job would be come here for like a degree, whether it's your bachelor's or master's degree or PhD or a fellowship, whatever it may be. Get on the F1 visa because there are a lot of visas, but F1 I feel is the best route because you're seen as a student. And from all our discussions, conferences, organizations, they want to, support the students. They're always looking for great talent. So I'll say that's the best way to do it, as opposed to applying. Now, if you already are working in Nigeria, you like already have a job for like an international company like Shell, Chevron, Halliburton, Schlumberger, GE, it would be a bit easier because then you would just ask for a transfer. You're already within the company and you're just applying. So you're technically like an employee, but I think you'd be like on a different visa and you would come over here. But if you're just fresh out of college and you're trying to apply for jobs here, I think the best route would be to come here for a graduate degree and take it from there.
Okay, just to add to that, so for like she rightly mentioned, for companies in Nigeria, you can get opportunities for international assignment while working here. So for multinationals like Schlumberger, Shell, and all of that, you can get international assignments whereby you are redeployed to another country to work in another country for a period of time.
Thanks, everyone. And one quick question for you, Tosin. Is there a significant difference between process engineering or process designing in the real world?
I didn't get that.
Is there a significant difference between process engineering or process designing in the real world?
Okay, so basically there is a little difference because mostly process designing happens at the startup phase, so like at the R&D phase or at the beginning of the entire system. So it's like you're doing something from the scratch, you're building something from the scratch. While process engineering could also be at that stage, or also at the advanced stage whereby the process already exists, you're only trying to optimize the process.
Okay. Thank you. I know we are over time, but if you can bear with me, we'll soon round up in the next 5 minutes just to like attend to some of the questions here. So about applying for master's degree in the US, can you please name some schools that are not so known that will grant more scholarship opportunity? I think, like Abiseye said, she has a slide. I have some link. Not like what's it called? Maybe it's not going to give you exactly what you want. But I think you personally, you have to do some research on your own. Like you need to start with what you really want. Are you a kind of person that, oh, you're coming to abroad to study, or you're coming with your money, you have your school fees, all you're looking for is a good school, or you're the kind of person, you're coming from Nigeria, you want to like come and study here, but you don't have money at the same time. You want money and you also want a good school. So you need to start from getting all the schools first, like the kind of school, like the kind of course you want to study, the schools that have actually some very good schools that have that program, and from there you move to the fact that, oh, all the schools I have on my list, which of them actually have funding? And from the funding part of it, then you can actually you can reduce your what's it called, your list to something very small, and from there you can decide which one actually works for you. And I think there's another question that talks about mentor, like
Uh, so I wanted to add to that
sure.
to that person. So um like she said, do your research, but most funds that are being given go towards advanced degrees for masters and PhD. So I would say PhD, and a PhD is typically 4 years, 3 to 5 years, right? Depending on the program you're doing. And then once you identify the school, you don't just identify the school, you identify the professor who, like, what type of research they're doing, what interests you, and then you reach out. Some people apply, but I would say go the extra mile because that will set you apart from other candidates by emailing the professor, actually expressing your interest, and clearly asking, hey, this is me. I'm interested in your research. I'm applying for a PhD program, any funding, and they can give you clear, direct answers that way too.
And to actually say more on that, very soon we'll be having a section to talk more about how to get admission abroad and get funding as well. So you can actually try to stay tuned on our YouTube channel, on our social media when when we actually decide to have that section. And one last question before we wrap it up. How does an introvert get a mentor or start a conversation with someone they are interested in being a mentee for?
Um, for that person, I'm an introvert as well. So if you have a hard time basically confronting people in person, nice, well-written emails go a long way sometimes. Um, if you can try to do a lot of conversation over, like I said, LinkedIn, over emails, it'll go a long way. Try to put a personal touch to it. You'll be surprised how many people are willing and open to mentor people and just haven't been reached out to. I believe the SGI also offers mentorship opportunities like we have right here on the slide. And yeah, but if you have anyone specific that you're looking to mentor you and the person isn't part of SGI, then yeah, I would say if you haven't had the opportunity to meet them in person, then try to research a little bit about them, compose a nice email. Maybe you don't want to also look like you're just faking it to get them interested in you, because people can also see that through you. But compose a nice, well interested email or LinkedIn message, and if the person is open to mentorship, the person will respond to you. All right.
Just to add to just to add to what Abisoye said, I would actually start. I would say ensure the your skills, or I mean your career path to some extent aligns with the person's career goal as well. Like the kind of what you're doing, like you're interested in that area. That makes it more easy for you to be able to like speak to the person, like approach the person more, because you guys will be speaking on like you'll be speaking on the same time. So I would say try to look for alignment in career path as well. So one quick question for Tosin, I'm sorry, about planning in manufacturing industries. Does the person in charge always have to come up with the new ideas, or the person works with laid down standard?
Okay, so for planning, yeah, there are standards, but like I said, there are uncertainties involved in this. So you need to still be innovative. You need to be able to draw conclusions from data that is available to you. So it's not a stereotype rule. You need to look at, so for instance, production scheduling, for instance, you have different equipment. Yes, you know that this you have maybe 3 equipment that can run a particular product. And what if 2 of them go down? How do you manage that situation? So you need to, still be able to think outside the box, look at how you can manage different scenarios that come up. And eventually you're not just following a process, you're not just following a procedure, but you also have you're using your brain, you're being innovative, you're solving problems even as they come up.
Thanks, Tosin. I think we've been able to answer most of the questions we have here. And what I would just say is thank you for joining. Thank you for for bearing with us at the beginning when we had technical issues. We're really sorry for that, and we promise to do better next time. But this program is brought to you by STEM Girls Initiative. It's a mentorship program. It's a team of professionals that we actually empower women in STEM to build a successful career. We aim to actually empower and inspire young women through offering mentorship and various opportunities to students who are interested. We also hope that at the end of this program, for you, if you join us, not only will you be recognized among your peers, but also there will be increased awareness of women's potential in you. So what we do, we'll actually open doors to reach your fullest potential and have a rewarding career by helping you align your career goal. If you want to join our section, you must be a female currently pursuing a STEM degree, or are you in final year, or you'll be in final year by 2021, we're currently in the middle of a section, but we're already compiling a waiting list for next year. So reach out to us with our email, through the email, social media, and we'll add you to the waiting list. Thank you very much for joining, and reach out, what's it called? Stay tuned. This video will be, this audio and the slide will be sent to you, but the audio will be on our YouTube channel, so you can always go back there and listen to whatever you missed. And at the same time, please follow us on our social media, follow us on all our platforms. We will always ready to like help students as well. Thank you very much for joining today. Thanks to all the speakers as well.
Thank you.
Nice
I
meeting
appreciate
you.
the time.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.